The Pirelli MSA Welsh Rally Championship starts 2018 as it left off last season, with the promise of great events, great stages, and great battles throughout the entry. The season gets underway then at the Cambrian Rally. The recent season opener called off last season due to snow and ice. This season, though, the weather looking a lot kinder for the crews. On to the stages then, and sadly the weather may have been kind, but the stages were not so much for Matt Edwards and Darren Garrett. They cut a corner too much, ripping the wheel off the Fiesta, forced to super rally for the rest of the day. So that would leave this man back in the stages, Hugh Hunter, with Rob Fagg alongside in the lead of the championship crews at this stage in the rally. It will be a slim lead at the top, but a lead nonetheless. 5 seconds to be exact would be the advantage. Luke Francis and John Roberts taking that second place. The pair out this season in a hired Fiesta WRC, having got about as much as they could out of the Evo. It was time to step things up, and things seemed to be going well at this stage with that in mind. Ocean Price and Dale Furness tried their hand in the Spencer Sport Mitsubishi Mirage this weekend. The first time competing in right-hand drive for Ocean, so this would be a bit of a learning curve. Things go well though. Over the morning stages, they settle into third place. A new season and some new or returning names. This season would attract Julian Reynolds back out to the stages with Patrick Walsh alongside. Fancying a go in the R5 car for the first time and clearly getting to grips with it no problem. Fourth place for now, 12 seconds back from Price. Dylan Davies and Cleon Williams make a good start to the rally, leading the way in the W13 class at the midpoint in the day. They were just 6 seconds back from Reynolds too. Simon DeBank and Michael Gilby joined the championship this season. Simon off the back of a good result on the asphalt at Croft, lying in 6th place at this stage and 5th in the class in that R5 Fiesta. Unsurprisingly, it will be Ian Rowlands and Amir Hall leading the way in the W6 class. And of course, in doing so, the fastest two-wheel drive so far, but this year they would be in an Avenger. A step back in technology to the historic spec car over their usual Escort didn't seem to be making any difference to their pace or their commitment. Paul Davey and Roger Allen make a good start in the N4 class. They lead the way inside the top 10 with 8th place. That battle would be close as well. Davey joined by Tom Norton and Will Rogers. Just 4 seconds back at this stage. Norton back out on the stages after a year off, and clearly without any loss of speed that we've come to know from him. And rounding out the top 10 would be John Rowlands and Glenn Latham. The pair lucky to even be here after a big moment on the opening stage of the rally. Thankfully though, getting away with it and staying in the leaderboard. Frustratingly, the same couldn't be said for Simon Rogers and Stephen Clark. They go off in the same place in far more dramatic fashion. Unfortunately, not caught on the camera. They roll the car badly. And thankfully, apart from some small injuries, the pair are okay. Testament to how well these cars are prepared. In some of the classes outside the top 10, it will be the lead in the W3 class for Chris Powell and Jim Lewis. The Sunbeam pair lying in 11th place overall as well. Giant killing from these two once again. Matthew Hurst and Declan Deere join the Welsh Championship this season and start to show their pace early on. Second in the W13 class at this stage and leading the Ravenel Welsh Challenge competitors. Meanwhile, third in that class would be Keith Parry and Errol Evans. The times were close, just a single second separating them at this stage, so it would be all to play for in the afternoon. Owen McMacken and Lee Taylor would take the morning lead in the W12 class, the Escort pairing with a significant lead in the class as well as 14th overall. For Dan Moss and Sam Allen, it will be third in the N4 class. The Evo pair had an up and down season last year, but this time it was starting well, looking good for a class podium at this stage. Rob Dennis and Andrew Boswell end the morning with third in the W6 class. They would also be just 3 seconds back from Moss in the Evo on the overall times in 16th. And Zach Hughes and Tom Wood take the lead in the N3 class, the pair trading in the Swift for the Fiesta this season. and it was clearly a good decision so far. They were also contesting the Ravenel Challenge this season and lying third at this stage. Behind them in the Ravenel Welsh Challenge were Bob Vardy and Keaton Williams. They'd be going well in the class, leading the way in W4 at this stage. And it would be the lead in the W5 class. For this man, David Lloyd Roberts, Di Jones alongside. They lead the way in the class as well as lying in 21st overall. For Heffernan Lloyd Davies and Aled Edwards, it will be second in the W3 class. They were not quite on the pace of the class leaders, but the times were looking good, and they were in a close battle to defend that second place. And they'd be fighting off the challenge of Gareth Webb and Rich Jones, third place in the W3 class and just 3 seconds back at this stage. A push through the afternoon could see those positions switched around. Tom Coterie and Baz Green will be the only crew in the H4 class this weekend. The Mitsubishi Galant VR4, one of the most recent additions to the historic classes. They lie in 26th place overall at this stage as well. For Colin Griffiths and Mike Wilding, it will be second place in the W12 class. They had a little way to go to catch the class leaders, but they were putting in some good times and a good fight on these stages. Perry Gardner and Toby Brick start the event well, the only crew in the W2 class, but going well against the crews around them on the overall leaderboard. 30th place at this stage in the rally. With Zach Hughes out in the lead of the N3 class, it will be up to Calvin Green and Ocean Owen to take up second place for now. Their class position not likely to change based on the stage times so far. For Steve Dealey and Alan Proudman, it will be second in the W4 class, 33rd overall at this stage as well in that Peugeot 205. Damien Prats and Johnny Evans end the morning with third place in the W12 class. The Escort pair just over a minute back from their closest class rivals. And for Ken Davies and Alan Jones, it will be second place in the W5 class. They round out the top of the class positions in the results with 26th place. So the morning's stage is complete. It's the lead for Hugh Hunter. Luke Francis getting to grips with that Fiesta, a few seconds back on the leaderboard and looking for a big push and hopefully an exciting fight through the afternoon. On to the afternoon stages then, and there'd be no change for Ken Davies and Alan Jones. They end the rally with second place in that W5 class. For Steve Dealey and Alan Proudman, it will be second place in the W4 class, ending the rally with 29th place on the leaderboard. Perry Gardner and Toby Brick would lose a little time overall, but they end the rally with a W2 class victory and 28th place. There'd be no change in the N3 class though. Calvin Green and Ocean Owen end the event with that second place as well as 26th overall. No change either in W12. Colin Griffiths and Mike Wilding taking second place in the class to end the rally. Tom Coterie and Baz Green were of course the only finishers in the H4 class as we mentioned earlier. They do then take that victory and 24th place overall. Sadly, Heffernan Lloyd Davies and Aled Edwards were unable to keep hold of that second place in the W3 class, slipping down the results to third in the class as well as 22nd overall. That, of course, means a move up the leaderboard into second for Gareth Webb and Rich Jones. It had been close all day, ending the rally with just 11 seconds separating the two cars. It would be a great result though for Bob Vardy and Keaton Williams, taking first place in the W4 class as well as a 5th place finish in the Ravenel Welsh Challenge overall. And just above them on the overall results and in that Ravenel Challenge were David Lloyd Roberts and Di Jones, themselves with a good class position, taking first in the W5 class. For Zach Hughes and Tom Wood, it will be the N3 class victory, a good end to the opening round of the season and also taking a podium place in the Ravenel Challenge. Owen McMacken and Lee Taylor make a good start to the season with the victory in the W12 class. The Escort pairing putting in some good times to take 15th place overall. Rob Dennis and Andrew Boswell, meanwhile, have a good, consistent day in the Escort to take third in the W6 class. They take the runner-up points in the Ravenel Challenge here at round 1 too. Dan Moss and Sam Allen move up to take second in N4 this weekend. A good result for them as they finish just outside our overall top 10 in 13th place. There's frustration and lost time for Yeon Rollins and Amir Hall. A puncture in the dying stages of the day would see them drop down out of the top 10 and into 11th. So with at least one Roland brother out of the top 10, let's move on and see who made the cut onto our top 10. It will be Chris Powell and Jim Lewis taking the final step in the top 10 overall, and of course, taking the class victory with it. A great performance, once again giant killing against much more powerful cars this weekend. After their return to the championship looked so promising earlier on, we lose Tom Norton and Will Rogers, retiring early in the afternoon, only passing our cameras on the start line of the stage. It would though be a great start to the season for Matthew Hurst and Declan Deer, taking the final step on the W13 podium and taking maximum points in the Ravenel Welsh Challenge this weekend. For John Rowlands and Glenn Latham, it would be the W6 class win, taking family honours as the leading two-wheel drive crew after a close battle with his brother, and that puncture dropping his close rival out of the running. The pair also taking 8th place overall. No change to the lead in the N4 class though. Paul Davey and Roger Allen would be happy to take that result away from the opening round, as well as 7th place overall. Keith Parry and Errol Evans have a good run as well, 6th place overall, as well as 2nd in the W13 class. A good end to the weekend for the Subaru pair. Simon DeBank and Michael Gilby make a good impression on the results this weekend. 5th place was a good end to the rally, taking 4th in the class as well. And it would be a good end to the weekend as well for Dylan Davies and Cleon Williams, taking the W13 class victory, as well as 4th on our overall leaderboard. A great finish to a consistently quick day. Some time lost due to a puncture in stage 5 would mean that Hugh Hunter and Rob Fagg lose some valuable time, and with it some confidence, slipping down the leaderboard a little to finish with the final step on the podium. There'd also be bad luck for Luke Francis and John Roberts, taking a wheel off the car in the 5th stage of the day, forced to call it an early bath. Julian Reynolds and Patrick Walsh make a good return to the stages. In fact, an event that Julian hadn't ever contested before, so their 2nd place finish was a great end to the weekend. So that does mean, with the changes at the top, it would be a victory this weekend for Ocean Price and Dale Furness. It will be a small but significant 18 seconds of a lead by the finish, and a great victory as well to take in an unfamiliar car. So confirmation then of our final results here at the Cambrian. That leaderboard taking a last-minute shake-up to get the season off to an exciting start.
Yeah, it's been okay. Yeah, I mean, we've adapted the car as we went along. We got there in the end, but yeah, really tricky rally. But I've loved the stages, you know, it's been a bit of a challenge, but a few things to get used to, obviously being right-hand drive being one of them, but could have been a lot better weekend, but it's been enjoyable nevertheless. Deal.
Next up, the championship heads south for the Mid-Wales stages. As always, we'll be there to bring you all of the action. Thanks again for watching Special Stage.